Stanford University.
Good morning. Really nice to see many of you here again today, joining for our session, our Qigong practice of effortless rest and the element or phase of water in the Chinese 5-phase element framework. We'll look at the theme of what is effortless rest. Effortless action is something called Wu Wei in Chinese. The understanding that I have that I really like is not to do nothing, but to do whatever you do without struggle and strife. And this is a beautiful concept that's woven throughout Qigong practice. It's the linchpin of Taoist philosophy, this effortless action. And I like associating this quality with water and the phase of water. In the Tao Te Ching, there's a chapter, I think it's 72, and one translation of it is that nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. And yet, for overcoming or dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. And yet, for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it. The soft overcomes the hard, the gentle overcomes the rigid. Everyone knows this is true, but few can put it into practice. The soft overcomes the hard. And I think maybe in the contemplative practices you've been exposed to, listening to, practicing, this idea of soft power, right, and reciprocity may have been quite thematic. So we're going to look at practices now in forms and in Qigong that help us attune to this quality of Wu Wei and effortless action, but also the opportunity that in every moment we can work with the qualities of water, particularly when they come in balance, to help us find rest in every moment. Because we're not always going to be able to just sit down and do nothing. But in the midst of whatever we are undertaking, can we find that quality of not struggling and striving, but flowing? And through water's soft strength, overcoming obstacles, taking the jagged surfaces of rocks and metal and polishing them to smooth, sand, which is what water can do. The practice I've shared so far, the one on Friday and yesterday, if you're here, you're welcome to do any or all of the practices seated. And whether you come to standing right now with the feet shoulder distance, hands resting on the lower abdomen, or whether you choose to begin seated, and it can be in any chair, feet resting about shoulders distance and hands resting also then on the lower abdomen. As we begin in whichever shape, can you attune to a soft strength within your experience? And whether your experience right now might be quiet or busy, distracted, or focused, can you find rest in this moment? The way that water rests, it slows down and flows to the lowest places. Water has this quality where you can't grasp it or punch it or strike it. And yet it's the strongest solvent, or one of the strongest solvents in nature. very powerful. Water associates with the quality of stillness, quietude, listening, rest. We can also associate, though, then with wisdom and greater insight that arises when we're not rushing around or over pushing and overreaching in our thoughts and actions. Then release your arms and hands, please, and just with a natural breath, turn the palms to the two sides and gather what might feel like a little bit of agitation or qualities of imbalance in water, the pushing, the striving, or maybe the opposite, stuckness, stagnation. So whether you feel lethargic or restless, notice these qualities and softly clear them as the middle fingers point towards each other. The palms face the earth. And the hands float down, sending these qualities back into the earth where they can reabsorb into the waterways and streams of the earth. And then gather this appropriate strength of not striving, not pushing, but the soft flow of a mountain stream, the ability to flow the way the river flows and fill as we learn to flow a bit more with experience, not push against the flow of the river. We can find that inner quiet, a bit more time for reflection. Listen for what's arising in our experience more attentively. And then one more time, you're going to gather what you filled. It's this effortless rest, resting in each moment, flowing in each moment. Wu Wei, effortless action, and seal it in so that these qualities really can abide in and find home in your body. And for those of you who were here yesterday, we'll do a bit of repetition. So maybe after a few days, you'll learn some of the movements and can integrate them. So as we did yesterday, we did a soothing practice of sliding the hands one after the other down what's called your Ren Mai, the main yin conception meridian. It flows down, actually it flows upward, but you can slide downward, one hand after the other. It's also a pathway of your vagus nerve, which can really help to soothe and slow down the agitation in the body's fight, flight, freeze response. Ren Mai is the main yin conception meridian. And then we'll move from here to the inner arms. These are the yin meridians of fire and metal. So I'll mirror you, your right hand to the left shoulder and then down the inner arm. We'll do 5 rounds of stroking down. And those yin meridians, heart protector, pericardium, these are fire, and then lung for metal. Yesterday we talked about the hearts of the hands. In your hands you have these hearts, so an intimacy with meeting. And now, the amount of effort, can it be just right? changing hands, changing sides. What could be soft yet powerful? As touch, as intention. It could be soft yet powerful, like water. Soft strength. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water, and yet, for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it. And all of these, again, can be done seated. We'll come folding towards the arches of the feet. You can bend the knees as much as feels good and slide upwards along the ankles, inner legs, to the groins, and up partially up through the torso. These pathways, we'll do 5 or so rounds. These are for the yin meridians, the kidney, liver, and spleen, part of those pathways. They correspond to the water element, kidney, liver, wood, spleen, earth. And just an inquiry for you as you do this to notice the soft strength and effortless action, the rest in every moment that's possible as you do what you do. Lost count, but I'm going to do one more. I think one of my inabilities is to count and teach simultaneously. I need help. And then noticing as you finish, the sensation is like through the hands. I can feel some tingling from the friction. Noticing as you stand, just a stillness, a quality of Can this stillness be like water, reflective water? And if you need to adjust the feet at any point, I should mention that you can always do that. Just make your feet comfortable. You're not accustomed to standing for longer periods of time. Go in gently. And we'll do the yang meridians, which is a light tap to the back of the hands and the wrists, the arms, up to the shoulder and the side of the neck. We'll do this 3 times. Just a light tapping, and though that's a bit more active, still inquiring into the effort. Maybe restful. And then massage. And even the brushing. Can it be spacious and restful and quiet? And then other side, same thing. Simple inquiry. How much effort is required to make this process feel beneficial? How does the breath feel as we tap? Massaging when you get to the 3rd ascent, and even that, can there be the softness of the touch and the listening, the quality of water, listening. And then brush the arm. And just as a review, we'll make gentle fists, soft fists that you could hold an eggshell in, for example, that wouldn't break. And these can also be done seated. In fact, I'll just show them seated for those of you sitting. You can tap from the tops of your thighs, down the centers of the thighs, center outer thighs, down to the outer shins, and then down to the feet. We'll do that 3 times. It's really nice to do them seated. Enjoyable. And the outer leg, so that was stomach meridian related to the earth element. We'll just show you from this side, but you do the same light tapping along the outer legs. As you do this, a gentle invitation again to notice how much effort are you using? Is there space for doing what you do with an element of resting in each moment? And then last on the legs, the hands will open. And if you're seated on a chair, you just have to kind of bypass the part of the meridian that you're seated on. So you would just jump that and then go down the backs of your legs, sweeping. I like to do this quite a few times because it's helpful for detoxification. This is the urinary bladder meridian. It's one of the water element organs. So this particular day, since we're theming on water, we can really get the toxins flowing out and down. Okay. And then, come close so you can see, we'll do what's the complement to the front channel, which is the back channel called Du Mai. And with your fingertips, very lightly touching and tapping from the center between the eyebrows, up the forehead and crown of the head. And you go to the back of the head, back of the neck, where it's comfortable down the center of the spine, all the way towards, if you're seated, you can just go down to as far as you feel comfortable on your seat, but as far as the tailbone. Repeat that twice more. So these meridian stimulations and massages do precisely that. They massage and stimulate the flow of the energy along pathways and rivers that are known as meridians. They work with the organs, we'll do one more, to help optimize the flow of life energy and vitality through the body so that the body can orientate towards balance, homeostasis. And then when you complete that, sit or stand for a moment. And like a clear pool, the depths of the water, still a little bit of movement, the surface of the water relatively still, but reflective. The quality of stillness that is described in Qigong as not inactive. Stillness is true stillness when we seek within it the movement. And vice versa. Within movement, we just are moving all the time, but we don't have a steady stillness within. We can feel very ungrounded. Okay. And then releasing this, I'm going to do a couple warm-ups. We did these on Friday, if you were with us. And this is constant bear. It's very good for the water element. Bear sometimes associates with water, sometimes with earth, but either element, we can probably feel how this is steadying, but also as the arms wrap around the front and back sides of the waist, there's a gentle massage to the lower back where your kidneys live. Kidneys are the yin organ of the water element. And they connect us to our volition in life, our inner strength, our wisdom, and our ancestry. So you can do these standing or seated as well. The name Constant Bear I find informative. Bears don't tend to hold their bellies in, so you're invited to let it be full. In fact, roundness from the belly is an embodiment quality in Qigong. So we let the belly be round and full. And now that might take some letting go of expectation or what we think of as good looking, right? To let the belly be sucked in is a little more common. But in the Tang Dynasty of China, there was a famous concubine named Yang Weifei. And a history book that I read in college at Stanford when I was there, my sophomore year, described Yang Weifei as deliciously plump. And I thought, that is so nice to read. Freedom from the tyranny of two-dimensionality. So as you continue, another minute or so, or 30 seconds, what is the effort here? The constant bear, steady, grounded, but also bears know how to conserve their energy. They hibernate in the winter. And what can you learn from the bear in how you work, how you practice, how you meet experience? And then slow this down. And as you slow it down, move from the movement back into stillness. And touch into that quality of the still reflective pool. And those of you here yesterday, you can also include a little bit of the hearts of your feet. How do they meet the earth? Hearts of your hands, how do they feel in space? The heart of your chest, what's the quality of that today? How does this reflect in this pool of the still held posture of Wuji, emptiness stance? Tongue behind the teeth, lightly closing the teeth. Joint spaces relaxed and standing relaxed like a pine tree. Maybe you can even imagine the reflection of a pine tree on the surface of a mountain lake. Rooted, tall, spacious. Aligned between earth and sky. Sinking, rooted, the energy like seeds that germinate, rooted down into the soil first before growing upward towards the sun. In Qigong, we look to nature as our greatest teacher and learn or remember where nature manifests in human form. And then place the hands back onto the lower dantian, and as you move, look for the stillness within movement. Notice the space for breathing and the intention for resting in every moment. There's a famous Roshi, Suzuki Roshi, who was building a temple in California, a Buddhist temple, Zen temple. And he was quite old as he was building the walls of the temple. moving heavy stones every day, and younger volunteers were surprised at how much energy he would have at the end of the day. And they said, you know, how is it that you still have so much energy? And his response was, it's because I rest in every moment. I find rest in every moment. And release the arms, take them behind the back body, holding one wrist with the other hand and circling a few times each direction on your feet, just to release and massage. And then we'll change direction. The kickoff day of Friday for the Qigong practices I've shared included the 5 element series. And what I'd like to do is start with those. And the one for water is the one that we'll do today. And then we'll do some other water themed practices in our time remaining. So the feet in this, you can also do this seated. And in fact, I might show just how it's done seated first. So those seated can join as we stand following, and those standing now, you can begin, but just mimic me seated, but mimic me standing. So the left foot will step out, and you inhale the arms back and up towards the sky. As you breathe out, fold down towards your 2 legs and feet. The hands then slide up the backs of your legs, all the way up to the lower back and the kidneys. Then with fists, I'll turn around so you can see, you lightly make fists and you tap the kidneys. Then you open your hands, breathing in. Breathing out, you slide the hands down the backs of your legs. Then along the inner ankles and inner legs, breathing in, draw the hands all the way up to the groins. And breathing out, step the left foot back to the right. Arms release. Second side, the right foot steps out a little bit and the arms reach out and back. Exhale, fold towards your feet and legs. The hands slide along the skin, the backs of your legs. This is part of your urinary bladder meridian. That's one of the organs for water. Make fists and lightly tap your kidneys. Then open the fists, breathing in, and slide the hands down the backs of your legs, breathing out. Along the inner legs as you inhale. And then the right foot next to the left, finishing arms down, exhale. So that would continue if you're seated. If you're standing, continuing, stepping out, breathing in, lifting overhead. So same thing seated, just like I showed earlier. Now I'm showing it standing. You exhale and fold. Come along the backs of the legs as you inhale up. And light tap as you exhale. Breathing in, open your palms. Breathing in, out, slide the hands down the backs of your legs. And up the inner ankles and legs, inhale. Right foot to left, releasing arms, exhale. Other side, right foot out. There's a little bit of a back bend, but make sure the hips go forward, the knees stay bent as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, fold your way down. Along the backs of your legs, tracing lightly. Breathe in, and then light tap, exhale. Open the hands, breathing in. Exhale down the backs of your legs. Inner legs, inhale. This is part of your kidney meridian line. And exhale the feet together. We'll continue, and as you continue, exploring our theme. How might you find rest in the action, in the activity of moving, breathing, And can that awareness of space to move, to do, while also checking in with the effort level, the exhaling back in together, can that be just a contemplation, not an expectation or any need to, want to, ought to, but rather an inquiry, a contemplation, exploration. Breathing in and breathing out. If you know the sequence, please do move at a tempo and pace that feels aligned with your breath and aligned with your rhythm. Much more valuable to follow what's authentic for you than to try to mimic me. And in fact, if you feel you know it, you might even close your eyes and allow some off-screen time just to sense and feel this flow of movement, the intentionality of water's soft strength that can help dissolve the hard and inflexible. Soft overcomes the hard, the gentle overcomes the rigid. Everyone knows this is true, but few can put it into practice. And so this is actually just time for you to practice, to be embodied. And I like to invite students sometimes to do it without looking at me, so that there's less risk of overriding your own body's intelligence with the mind and the eyes seeing what you should do, and instead listening to your own body and responding to its intelligence and what it feels is right for you. One more each side. Not overriding the body with the mind is a really beautiful practice to welcome in and explore. And really valuing the intelligence and feedback and experience of the body as the whole, not just mind. It's very liberating and very expansive. Last round for me, stepping out to the right. If you've stepped out to the left, you might do one more round, or if you finished to your right, you can pause. Some of you might be pausing and just feel yourself as that reflective pool of water. And when you do finish, the right foot comes back to the left. The hands then release, the feet step apart. Take a moment to observe the completion of that form, letting it naturally complete. And then gathering qualities of water. It's reflective, quiet, inner strength. It's soft power to help overcome and dissolve what is hard and inflexible. Gather those qualities when you're ready, the hands. Reach them out to the side and overhead, and then fill as resources. These are things that we might glean as wisdom from water, learn from its very generous gifts. And then rest the hands back to the lower dantian. Taking a full breath. These last three practices we'll do together all can be done on a chair. They work with tidal images and wave images. So again, we're working with the water aspects in the natural world, embodying them in our own experience as a way to humble ourselves in some ways and see what we can learn from them. This first one is called rocking waves. And if you imagine feet about shoulders distance and your hands are a wave, as are your hips. Now waves rock onto shore and then rock off. If the hands go one way, the hip goes the other way. And then the hands stay, inhaling, the hips change. As they shift over, then the hands move over to the other side. Take a breath in, the hands stay, the hips shift, and then the hands rock. So just like that, breathing in, might widen my feet just a little bit. And then the hands stay, the hips move opposite direction. So it's not hard and fixed like water waves that rock on and off shore. As one wave recedes, the other wave sort of on its way. You can turn a little bit towards the hands. And then as the hip shifts over, you can turn a little bit towards the hands. Move at your rocking wave rhythm. Fluid like water, unbroken in flow. But you can also maybe sense how this starts to create a little bit of strength. And if you're seated in a chair, you could be doing this with the hands. Kind of imagining the hips going the opposite way. And the amount of effort that you use shouldn't feel like there's strife and struggle necessarily, or if possible, not much at all. But in the last few rounds, see if the force that moves the hands from one side to the other, the hips from one side to the other, isn't from you, but it's coming from the force of the ocean. So there's actually quite a lot of strength behind the movement. It's the whole force of the ocean, which is governed by the gravitational pull of the moon. Good. And then we'll release. Find your natural completion. And gather, step the feet a little closer, you can gather the sense of the rocking momentum and strength of waves. And sometimes calling on the strength that's not just yours, but from the entire ocean, and to source this inner strength and fill with that. And then rest the hands on the dantian. And release. This next one is called tidal ebb and flow. And the knees start a little bit bent, the hands release. The arms rise up as you breathe in, palms up. This is like the tide coming in. The palms turn down, the palms lower down, the knees bend, exhaling. Then the hands rise up again. I'll show you from the side. Inhaling, the knees rise up a bit. And then the arms move out as you exhale. The hands move out and forward as you exhale. And then as you inhale, the tide moves back in, palms in. And then as you exhale, the tide recedes. Inhale again, the tide rises up. Exhale, the tide recedes back. Inhale again, the tide rises. And then it moves back out as you exhale, hands glide out. Back in as you inhale. Back down as you exhale. And then as you continue, invitation again to just explore the feeling of whether the movement of tides in and out isn't just from your own resources, but they come from the resources of the entire ocean, the strength of the tide moving back out comes from behind you, the whole strength of the ocean. And then it comes back in, whole strength of the ocean, back out, which is profound, powerful. Do a couple more. And down, effortless rest, finding rest in whatever we do. It's just an ongoing contemplation. But I find when I feel tired, if I draw on the force and power and resource of water and the oceans like this, it's not me alone. Okay? It's like, it's not just that I've got this, no, the oceans and I have this. One more round. Tidal ebb and flow, just the ongoing ebb and flow, the continuity of this movement. Breathing in, forward, breathing out, back in, back out. And this last movement, I'm going to pick up right at the tail end of this movement, which is the final movement today, rippling waves. The arms draw forward like a wave rippling, and then the arms recede back in like the wave rippling and then subsiding. A few times, breath in. On the side, it looks just like this. It's a little ripple forward, ripple back. Just one more time, rippling wave. We can think of ourselves individually as distinct, like every wave is distinct, and yet all part, each wave is part of the greater ocean. And then turn the palms out, we'll gather this belonging, these resources of inner strength, of continuity, the ebb and flow of life. And to flow with that, fill with what water might offer you as powerful teaching. May water be a teacher to us. Help us find this effortless rest. Hands can rest then for a moment on your dantian, lower belly. And we'll do the closing form for peaceful chi. Final form, gather the palms turned out. What might have accrued as benefit from the lessons of the water element and phase. And any lessons or insights, wisdom, may they offer you peaceful chi that you can then fill into the form of your body. May this peaceful chi be a resource for your own well-being and health, and for the health and well-being of all life. Rest your hands on the dantian, take a full breath, grounding and steadying. May your day unfold with this effortlessness of water. Thank you very much.